Welcome to episode 161 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. This project, that is called Rebirth Revolution, began for me way back in 2013. It took years for me to collect and then try to embody the information. It changed me as a person. On September 12th, 2019, the first episode of the podcast was released. 160 episodes were to follow. I was asked back in the beginning who I was doing this podcast for. My immediate response was that I was doing it for my grandchildren. Mind you, I didn't have any grandchildren at the time the question was asked. I now have one magnificent grandson. The reason I wanted to do this for my future grandchildren is that I wanted to have some sort of permanent record of my belief system, along with an oral history of what we have all been going through these very trying times. I wanted them to get a sense of what it is like now, no matter when they have the interest to listen. I'm satisfied to know that it will be something that floats out there in the ether that can be accessed years from now. The preservation of our history is one of my major obsessions. At the time I was starting this podcast, I was also working on my company, The Gift of Memories. The objective of The Gift of Memories is to preserve other people's stories for generations to come. My obsession about this is fueled by my belief that we are inextricably connected to our ancestors, and that our lives are a reflection of their struggles and their dreams in addition to our own. We are not the starting point. We are the continuation of the saga that began with a group of souls who were here before us. Our stories will be the jumping off points for many who will be here long after we have left the building. The very day I was to address my first group of retirees is the day that the COVID pandemic required all facilities go into a lockdown. The timing was unfortunate. Even more unfortunate were the waves of COVID that back in those early days took out so many of the people I never had the good fortune to meet. Have we done so much to stuff down our feelings about this pandemic that we forget how awful it was when we were first trying to figure out what the virus was and how to save ourselves from it? There is no way that our bodies and the deep recesses of our brains have let go of the levels of stress that we were experiencing back in the early days of the pandemic. The overwhelmed healthcare workers, the refrigerated trucks holding bodies that could not be buried fast enough. It was a total nightmare scenario. Have you given yourself enough credit for getting through that time and for dealing with all the associated losses? I kind of suspect you haven't. We just keep pushing forward, rarely taking the time to process all the trauma that we have endured. So anyway, since the pandemic, I shelved the Gift of Memories project and focused on Rebirth Revolution and other work that I'm doing. Now it's time to make another shift. The last Thursday of this month will be the last episode of the Rebirth Revolution podcast. It is time to refocus on capturing other people's stories. When most people read the obituaries in their local paper, they may first off think, "I'm glad I'm not in this one," and then they check to see if anyone they know is listed. When I read them, I feel regret and sorrow that these are all people whose lives are most likely not recorded for future generations. Their stories are lost. Their distinctive voices and unique mannerisms may not ever be heard or seen again. The generations to follow may hear a stray story here and there about their existence, but they will not have the ability to sit down and watch them tell their own stories. They won't get to know them in a meaningful way. Every person has stories to tell that can illuminate the human condition. The stories of our successes may inspire the generations to come, but the stories of our struggles may benefit our future audiences even more. No one wants to live a life that is mostly a cautionary tale for others. But anytime we can be honest enough to share those things that didn't go as we wished, we can save others from some of the same painful consequences. Every story has value. Every time we laugh about our foibles, we can teach others to try to get through this school without taking it all too seriously. So I need to pivot back to the gift of memories. I really look forward to capturing the wisdom of others and then sharing that in whatever way I can. Who knows, it could turn into another podcast. When I decided to do Rebirth Revolution, I knew absolutely nothing about doing podcasts. I did all the research and put it together piece by piece. It has been a project that I have done entirely on my own, which meant learning many new skills and processes. That, to me, is as fun as it gets. I hope that if you get a wild notion to do something, you give yourself the space to make it happen. I'm excited about what is yet to come. I can't see the entire staircase, but I do see one step in front of me. For the rest of the weeks in 2022, I will go over some of the framework ideas that Rebirth Revolution is built around. I believe these will make whatever comes next for all of us easier to anticipate and process. Thanks for being here for this project. It means the world to me. Let's talk about what is important for you to think about going forward. I hope that some of these ideas resonate for you. If not, move on to the next. Your spiritual journey is your own. You have every right and the ultimate responsibility to piece it all together in the way that resonates with you. No one else needs to agree. You are not a cookie-cutter person, and cookie-cutter spiritual solutions will never be enough for you. Make your process your own. You are not perfect because there are no perfect humans. We are all just sloshing along trying to figure it out. We are all staring at the ground searching for puzzle pieces, which makes us occasionally walk into poles. We will all take 2 steps forward and then a couple of steps sideways. We are all on a winding, unpredictable path that is laid before us just a couple steps ahead of where we are. We can't anticipate every step, and we cannot take any shortcuts. There are no gurus who can buy you a spot at the top of the heap. You are your own guru. You have access to the wisdom of your guides and ancestors through your intuition and the knowing you have when you get quiet enough to hear it. You and your team always know your next right move. You are meant to take in concepts, which we will call puzzle pieces, from all different sources. Measure what parts resonate with you and you alone, and start assembling the puzzle that is your journey. No two completed puzzles will look the same, nor should they. The clues you are to gather along the way are offered up to both grow us and to warn us. Pay attention. Some things will resonate because they are beautiful and full of light. Other clues will reveal the darkness that others are capable of. Pay close attention to both. Some will touch your heart, others will scare the crap out of you. Both are essential. We have been given the gift of intuition that is designed to help us determine which is which. There are two entirely different sensations when something touches your heart and something else raises the hair on the back of your neck. One makes you feel a wash of goodness over you, and the other makes you feel a little sick to your stomach. A critical part of your journey is to tune into the gift of these feelings. When you watch a documentary about a cult or any highly controlled group, I assure you, there was a point in the descent into cult hell when each and every person had a sick feeling in their gut that they decided to ignore. I'm sure their unseen guides were screaming at the top of their lungs. But we have free will. There was some point where they thought, that just doesn't seem right. But they decided that they would rather belong, or they put the feelings of the people talking nonsense above their own out of some misguided sense of politeness. Sometimes people are so starved for the love and attention that they didn't get that they will forgive anything and everything to get the feelings of acceptance and belonging. Some of our human frailties seem to set us up for disaster. Our needs, unmet, can derail our best thinking. Anything we need from people outside of ourselves will always cost something. Some need so very much that they pay with their bodies, their minds, their hearts, their possessions, and their free will. The reason so many people get sucked into cults is that they heard one or two things that did resonate with them because they were spiritual truths, which made them think, well, I guess everything they say must be true, even though much of what they said did not resonate with them. People think that everyone who is involved with a cult is some sort of lunatic, but they began their descent into hell from a place of pure seeking. They wanted to understand more. They wanted to do better. They wanted to help the world, and they still think they are doing that. What they don't get is that there are really bad people out there who love to prey on these good intentions. They understand the human heart and mind enough to target a person's weaknesses. They know that our need to be loved and accepted, our need to belong, will make us do foolish and dangerous things. They know how to strip you out of the driver's seat of your own heart and mind and put themselves behind the wheel. You need to control your brain space as if your life depends on it, because it actually does. If that is the only thing that you get, then I'm thrilled. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. 1 down, 3 to go. Rebirth Revolution can be found on all the podcast apps, the music apps, and full episodes play on our YouTube and Facebook pages. You can find all episodes, for now, on rebirthrevolution.com. Please download, rate, and review whenever possible. Until next week, shore up your defenses for being the one and only person responsible for your spiritual journey. Pay very close attention to your natural responses to things that you hear. And remember that you are your own guru. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and discerning.